Hi there. We are here with Scott Rasmussen, founder of Rasmussen Reports, and we're just going to jump right in. Scott, I know you are a very prolific author, very busy in terms of polling, those types of things. I think many people will know you in the political realm as a political pollster. You make quite a few media appearances in terms of providing political data, but give us a quick snapshot. Your organization does much more than just political polling. Give us a quick snapshot of what you do and the relevance of that to a business market.
Yeah, look, on a day in, day out basis, people talk about the political polling more than anything else because it's fun. It's like a sports event. Which candidate's ahead, which candidate's behind, and we do track it every single night. But we also track consumer and investor trends every single night, so we can measure what's happening in the economy, how people are responding to it. And then we tap into lifestyle topics as well, whether it's who's going to win the Super Bowl or something else. I mean, one of our favorite polls from years ago, kind of informed our business, was when Dolly the sheep was cloned. Every polling firm went out and asked about the legality and the ethics and the morality of cloning. We did that, but we also said, if you could clone just one person, who would it be? And, people sometimes like to say thoughtful things, and so Mother Teresa came out on top, but number two was Michelle Pfeiffer, who did really well among 30 and 40-year-old males. So you have to have a little fun with it to mix in the serious things. Ultimately, if it's in the news, it's in our polls. And we come at it with the view that people don't care about polling. They care about all these topics that we're polling about, so they can get something out of it that makes sense in their world.
Sure. Well, and Scott, to that point, we're focusing somewhat on associations today in our discussion here. As you know, associations have a very strong focus on value or takeaways, or a few of the terms that you hear quite often. What are one or two of the things that you provide when you're speaking to a large audience, which you frequently do, in terms of actionable material or takeaways they can leave that convention center that morning or that afternoon and move forward with?
One of the things I try to do is to place all the information in a context that is relevant for the group, not for the point of view of saying, here's the way to solve all your problems, but to give them a sense of how to interpret future events. We have a long history of data, and so while I can't predict the future, I don't have a flawless crystal ball, I can say these are the things to watch for. If you're concerned about healthcare trends or other particular issues, I can cite our data on that, put it in a larger context, and say these are the things that you should be watching for in the environment that might change that. One of the other things that I typically do is try and educate the group a little bit about how to interpret polling data. And this is not a seminar, it's not a boring thing with statistical theories, but it's helping people to think about the way that numbers really fit into a narrative and into a larger storyline. And sometimes it's silly things. We did a poll once on whether gentlemen think blondes, brunettes, or redheads are sexier, all other things being equal. And I go through, and usually the brunettes are happy because the brunettes came out on top. But I point out that it's a silly poll because other things are never equal.
Sure.
And you just have to help people think through what questions are being asked as part of the process.
Gotcha. Yeah, you are somewhat to that point. You've said many times you don't make predictions. That's a dangerous place to land. But how do you look at trends, and specifically for associations and a number of nonprofits? How are they able to use the information you provide, or specifically you look at trends, don't make predictions, but give direction, I guess, for those in the crowd to move forward with?
Well, a great example is that we do a consumer confidence index that we measure every single night. We've been doing it for about a decade, so we have lots of tracking data. And one of the things that we note is that when bad news happens, gas prices spike, consumer confidence falls immediately. When good news happens, it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row of good news to overcome that one spike of bad news. So if the gas prices go up, confidence goes down. If the gas prices return back down, it takes several months before people regain their confidence. So we can take that history and say, this is something to look forward to as you're trying to evaluate future events. We also have trends and housing data and other topics that we do the same thing with. So we're not predicting, but we are saying, as you're looking to the next step, if you see this happen, here's what you can expect will follow.
Okay. Terrific. Scott, you are a serial entrepreneur, would probably be a good description. You've founded several companies that have gone on to dominate their industry, but obviously, like everything, is start out as small businesses. As a small business owner, what are one or two just quick things that you would offer to our viewers today that you lessons learned, maybe from good times or bad times?
Well, the best lesson of all was from Sid Peterson, who was the CEO of Getty Oil Company. That came up at a time that we were trying to sell this crazy idea of ESPN to get funded by Getty Oil, and we had done all these things, and they brought us in to a Getty boardroom, and they sat us around this table, and my father and I were on the inside of a boomerang-shaped table. 8 Getty people were around the outside, and it was pretty intimidating. They had us scared. And at one point, they asked about the projections 10 years in the future. And for me, I did all the projections, so I answered in a terribly precise but worthless manner. I said, if you assume the cable grows at this rate and the cable satellite penetration is this and our share of the audience is that and our revenue share is this and we get a CPM of X, the numbers are obvious. Sid Peterson was the CEO of Getty, and he just looked at me and said, spoke to everybody and said, he doesn't know any more than we do what the revenue will be in 10 years. What we have to do is look at his underlying assumptions. And for us, it was if the cable industry grows, if they accept programming like this, and if people will advertise on a narrowcasting channel, that's what we called it back then, well, in that case, this is going to be great for us. If not, it's going to be a dry hole. We make decisions like this in the oil industry, let's decide. And Peterson said, focus on the fundamentals. If the market is strong, if your product is really good, it's going to be fine. If not, all the projections in the world won't help.
Interesting. Good lesson learned for sure.
That's right.
Scott,
I follow it all the time.
Scott, you were a busy man. We appreciate you giving us some time here. I end all of my interviews here with what I call the lightning round. There are no points to be awarded, but essentially just for fun for us, I'm going to throw quick questions at you, and you just give me your quick answers that come to mind. Favorite food?
Oh, a cheeseburger.
Favorite city?
Well, if it's not Ocean Grove where I live, it will be Nashville, Tennessee.
Good caveat. Very wise man. And finally, favorite book?
Well, the book that I learned the most from is Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And it talks about how, we all have failures in life, but it's what we do with that failure that helps to determine where we end up.
Wonderful. Scott, like I said, you're a busy man. We appreciate your time and certainly appreciate your wisdom, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Look forward to it, Shawn.
Thank you.